So I want to sous vide this guy in coffee, but I'm not sure the best way to do it to get the best flavour. So we're going to come up with a couple of brines, and then from there we're going to see which one's got the best flavour, strong enough so you can taste it but not actually feel like you've had a double espresso. So let's get into it. So to make up the brine, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use an 8% solution. So what that means is I've got 1.1 litres of water here, so 8% of that is 88 grams. So that's gone straight in. It was slightly warmed and then I've just topped it up to the 1.1, so it's now room temperature. So you can see it's pretty much dissolved. There's a bit of crystals in there, but it's all good. And then exactly the same, this is 1100 mils of coffee as well, and then the salt is already in there. So I'm just going to pour those over, give them a mix around, and then I'm going to brine these overnight. So I'm just going to cling film them, and then tomorrow we'll take them out, wash them off, put them in a bag, a couple of shots of espresso, and then I'm going to cook them sous vide. So it's a 3-day process. So brining tonight, tomorrow is cook and then press, and then the following day we'll be able to portion it up and cook it off, and then see which one's got the best flavour. So this one I'm just going to cook it in coffee, and then obviously this one I'm going to split in half again and do a no coffee and coffee in the bag. So at the end of it there will be 3 versions to try, and we just see which one's the best one for the dish. Just quickly notice, you could put star anise, bay leaves, whatever you want in there, but for this as an experiment I've just decided to leave it plain so we can actually get a good gauge on the coffee flavour for each individual cut and brine. So if you want, you can put like star anise, cinnamon, like black treacle, whatever you want. You can just put it in the brine or the bag, and then depending on what you're actually going to put the dish with. So just a few ideas, but up to you. Okay, so my pork bellies have been in overnight, and they've got good colour, firmed up quite a bit. So all I'm going to do is wash off any of the salt, because there could be some salt particles in there, and then we're going to bag them up, and then they're going to go straight into the water bath, which I'm going to set at 68, and we're going to do that for 6 hours. So just give them a rinse, and then this one I'm going to cut in half so we can have the in coffee cook and the without coffee cook. So just dry them off slightly with the water, so when the coffee goes in it's got a decent, it's not diluted. And then they can go straight in the bags. It's my first coffee. There's my second coffee. This is my plain one. And then this is the one with coffee. With the one that's got coffee in, as soon as you see it starting to travel up the bag, then just stop there, because if it hits the seal bar, then the coffee actually stops it from sealing. So it's not hot enough to get through the. It's not hot enough to melt it together through the liquid. My water bath's almost up to the 68 degrees, so I'm just going to drop them straight in. So there's 6 hours and 12. By the time the 12 minutes is done, it will be 6 hours anyway. But with this cooking technique, you don't need to be so accurate. So that's the plain brine with coffee, the coffee brine, and then the coffee brine in coffee. So just going to drop those in, and then we'll come back to those in 6 hours. And then what we do is we just lay them on a tray and put another tray on top, and then weigh the tray. So that's how you get the nice flat, like braised piece of pork belly that always looks much better when it comes to presentation. The 6 hours is up for the pork belly, so we're just going to dive in and see how they are. And I know they're going to be good because I've done this one before just without the coffee. So it's still quite firm, but that's what I'm looking for. I don't want a braised texture, so just quite firm. So I'm just going to put them in this tray. They can sit here for 10 minutes to rest in the liquid, and then I'm going to pierce the bags, drain away the liquid, put them on the tray, and then what these are for are to put some weight on the belly, so we can go straight into the fridge and they can cool with that weight sitting on them. So if you're going to do this part, obviously you can just from the bag you could just throw your pork belly straight into the pan or into the oven and crisp up that skin. But if you're going to do this step, just make sure that you have even distribution of weight across the belly, so you don't get any lopsided pieces. So I'm just going to give them like 10 minutes to sit in the bag and sort themselves out, and then we'll open those up, put them on the tray. So that should do it. So this is the plain brine and then shot of coffee afterwards. So you can see it's taken on quite a lot of colour of the coffee. Pretty much the smell of the coffee's gone now. So it's just a real porky smell. There's this one that is coffee brine with no coffee. And this one is the coffee brine and coffee. So we've got all that coffee in there. So, and you can tell that just because it's actually quite a bit darker than the other two. I'm going to place some baking paper on top, and then the idea is you just put this on top and then leave that to sit in the fridge. So it's just easier to put this in the fridge and then put that on top once you go into the fridge. So just make sure you've got enough height. It's easiest to remove this one. I don't know how much weight that these shelves can actually take, so I'm just going to place it on the bottom, and then we'll stack the jars on top. This can go in. And then this just sits on top. So just make sure that the tray is completely flat, so you just find its balance. There was one part of the belly that was much bigger, so we just need to, as it presses, it will balance out. But that's looking about straight, so it's a bit back weight. So I'm just going to pull the cans forward. It's just because of that one piece of belly. So it's where the ribs come off. So as you take the ribs out, it makes it flop. So that's the reason for that. So you just got to move the can so they are evenly balanced, and then you'll be right. So we're going to come back to those in the morning, and then we're going to make up a dish, and I'm pretty excited about the dish. So I've been thinking about it for a while. So I'm hoping it's going to be a good one. All right. Okay, so it's day 3, and these have pressed overnight. So this was the plain one with the coffee brine with no coffee in the bag, and then coffee and coffee. So just going to portion those up, and then fry a piece off and see how they are on the flavour profiles, and then see which one is best for each dish. So there's one that I want to do that is caramelised onion and rhubarb as the garnish to go with the pork belly. So with the onion being quite strong, probably guessing that this one, the coffee and coffee, is going to be the best, but just want to make sure that it's not too overpowering. So fry off a piece and then let's do a taste test. Okay, so there's just a little bit of oil in the pan, and then just going to fry it so it's slightly crispy, render a bit of that fat, and then not going to put anything on it. No salt, because you've got the salt content in the brine, and then also it's salty enough as it is. So at this point, no salt, just keeping it plain so we can really tell how the coffee has affected the flavour. Fry those up to get them nice and crispy. Okay, so these are nice and crispy, and then just gonna take those out. So coffee and coffee, no coffee, and then no coffee with coffee. Okay, so let's start with the lightest in flavour first. Actually, no coffee at all on that one. That one has a better flavour, but you still don't get the coffee. And then this one, let's just try that coffee piece there. Can really smell the coffee, so then you get the flavour that way. So there's not such a dramatic difference between them, but this one, the flavour is actually a lot more intense, probably just because of the smell of it. Definitely put the coffee in, and you've got a nice darker colour where the fat comes in. So that dark mahogany colour is actually going to look a lot nicer on the plate, especially when you start putting the herbs and everything else with it. So that's it. I'm going to make that video now. So if you want to see that video, I'm going to link it up above so you can go and check that one out.